Back on the Fender today. This has got to be the 5th or 6th video on the Fender. It's just going to go on forever till I finish it. And believe me, I'm far from finished. But great feedback yesterday. Rick in New Hampshire, always good advice. I know I don't need that that tip on the end of my flux core welder. I'm going to try taking it off, see if I can see any better. I think the trick is I went and ordered a light for my the top of my hard hat, or top of my welding hood, and see if I get any better light when I'm looking at. And then of course Joe Sousa's always got the best advice. Joe, yeah, I probably should have used the heat sink, a couple tube socks with some sand would have prevented some of the warping. But I've been hammering on this, and it's starting to go back to where I want it. And then I just started hammering this hem down. You see that right there? So I'm going to try to get that hem into place first before I go any further. I'm glad I stopped to make that video a second ago. I was starting to bend this hem down. I forgot I didn't prime underneath. So I just sprayed some of that rusty metal primer under there. A rust reformer rather. I want something to cover up that bare metal. So that's covered. Now I gotta wait for it to dry. While it's waiting to dry, let me show you this over here. You know, I've been trying to pop out this dent here, and what it did is it ended up poking these holes through. So that metal's kind of weak, so I'm gonna have to back that metal up, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Before I go any further on here, what I'm thinking of doing, where's that tool I got? Oh, here it is. Got my handy hockey stick. What I think I'm going to do is try to, with the belt sander, straighten this out and make it into like a, how do I say it? Like a punch, a wooden punch, and come in from the other side and try to pop those dents out a little before I start doing the welding. So that's kind of my plan for today. And I wasn't going to do this today, but while I'm waiting for that paint to dry, it gives me something to do. There's my tool. I rounded it off. Put it in here. Basically what I'm trying to do is knock out this dent here, which doesn't seem to be working too well. You can barely see it because the light's not just right. But what I'm looking at is there's two pieces here, and there's a nice big fat resistance weld. So I think if I wanted to, not that I want to, what I'm supposed to do, I think, is break these resistance welds going around here, and that piece will come out. See, it's like a piece here, like an eyebrow, or an inner bucket, I guess you would call that. And then you take that out, and then I can get at that metal, and it's, you know, it's in rough shape, but then I can patch it up from the inside probably a lot better. So I'm considering that, but that's a lot of work. Holy cow. You know, and I see what they did here is that these are rust holes, or this is where I pounded through when I was trying to knock out the dent. Now I can go back and I'm going to try to seal these by backing them up with some copper. But, you know, it's going to be a lot of Bondo in here anyways. So, and that's what they did originally, is they filled this dent with Bondo and it cracked. See, I got a hole up here. You can't see it, but there's a little, you know, little hole, and I know if I start welding on that, I'm just going to be chasing the rust. You can see some rust under here. I don't know if you can see that. Probably need to go get a flashlight for you guys. Well, here's an interesting dilemma I have. Went to open my hood, won't open. Now, I've had this problem once or twice before. Sometimes I can hit it, and it'll open, but I can't seem to get it this time. So I got the vice grips here. Grab the handle so I can hold it with my thigh. Hit it with both hands. But that doesn't seem to work. Pulling on it, pushing on it. Pushing to the left. Pushing to the right. Nothing. Any suggestions? How do I get this thing open? I can't even tell you how many hours I have into this Fender. It's ridiculous. But I am making some progress. I got rid of all the orange, or most of the orange. I'm down to the primer and the green. And what I'm thinking is I want to, as soon as I get the rest of the orange off and get this as smooth as I can, I'm going to prime it with the Rusty Metal Primer by Rustoleum. And then what I want to do is Bondo any imperfections I can find that I can't get out. You see, I patched this with weld. I still got to weld a little bit more on there. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. Just so much work into the one fender. It's driving me nuts. So what I ended up doing is hand sanding with 80 grit to get the last of the orange off. And I'll tell you, when you hand sand, you feel every bump, every defect. And there's a ton of them on this vehicle. Now, I didn't even block sand or anything crazy like that yet. And I don't know if I ever will. So, because what I'm thinking now, after I get this Rustoleum primer on, I'm going to paint it forest green Rustoleum off the shelf from Home Depot. $16 a quart, 50-50 mixed with acetone, and maybe throw some hardener in it because I have some laying around. And I'm thinking maybe that'll be my paint job, and they'll have a fake patina look to it. Fake patina, or fauxtina as some people call it. Because I'm looking at this fender going, you know, this is just one fender. I can't get this thing straight. And I'm going to do this whole truck? Really? I also might tell you that I'm leaning towards buying a truck that I've seen on Marketplace. Already done. It's kind of expensive, but it might be worth it to me because I might never finish this project. It's just crazy. But I want to get it done, so what I want to do next is a little more touch up with the hand sanding, give it a good wipe down with Windex, and get the primer on. And then anything after that, you know, Bondo or fillers, that'll go on top of the primer. Well, there's the first coat of primer. I think it looks awful. I don't know if I did the ratio wrong. I did a 50-50 acetone to primer. I think that's right. It looks a little rough, but it really shows where all the defects are in my welding, which is fine because I want to know where they were anyways. I got to flip it over and get the backside. I'm giving it a minute to flash before I start handling it. But you could see where, you know, I didn't sand as much as I should have maybe. I don't know if you could see it. I could see, you know, paint lines where the paint remained, and I just painted over it. So that's fine. I mean, that'll all sand out eventually. I'll probably have to sand all this primer down to nothing again at some point. But like I said, I think because of my poor body work, I'm going to have to go to a fake patina look. Man, I could see all the stripes in there too. But, you know, that's the $15 Harbor Freight gun I use for primer. Not that I'm any kind of paint expert, but I like the way it's coming out. I think I'll wrap up the video for now, but I'm going to flip this over and do the back side. You don't need to see that. I'll just tell you thanks for watching. Appreciate all the tips you guys are giving me.